Well, greetings everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of MBTV News. You will notice, of course, that we're coming from our studio in Sansar again this week. Always good to have outside broadcast locations other than in OpenSim, so to speak. And I'm not going to explain why we're here this week, but I'd rather we weren't. Not that I mind being here. My lips work here, which is rather nice. Mesh or no mesh, so to speak. Anyway, my name is Mal Burns. Mal is the first word, Burns is the second word, and if you want to find me on Twitter, you've got to squash me. Yeah, I know, it's that squashing thing, isn't it? Whether you want to find me on Twitter is another matter entirely, but I'll come to that in a minute. Twitter.com/Malburns, Malburns. And that's where you'll find all the links to the news I'm going to be reading out in a few minutes. Joining me here behind the news desk is none other than James Atlloud. Welcome, James.
Oh, thank you, Mal. I hope everybody's hearing me. I'm back in Sansar. I'm trying to figure out where some of these controls are again, but I think I'm getting them.
Forget where our cameras, how our cameras work in different
Right,
places.
right.
Yes. Well, you still got that wonderful hippie T-shirt I remember you having on several months ago, probably.
Yeah,
So,
and
this is nice.
I still love these animated shirts in Sansar, and that's always been a fun thing.
This platform seems to be becoming very busy again these days.
Oh, you think
Um,
so? Okay.
well, from what I see of tweets and videos of things going on here, I mean nothing special. Special. I mean, it's just lots of parties and clubs and musicians and stuff like that, and also some rather gorgeous looking destinations, but certainly not sparse.
Okay.
Certainly, it seems to be a lot more users here than there are in some of the supposedly, multi-million pound finance things that are out there. But we'll get to that later. Okay. This program is where we bring you news about virtual worlds and immersive spaces online, and a little bit of the haptic interfacing tech that goes with it. We generally try to avoid the M word now. I'm not even going to tell you
I
what the M
love the
word
M
is.
word. I love the M
Yeah,
word,
I've got
man.
a horrible feeling we will hear it shortly,
I
but I'm
love
not
it.
going to. It's a competition. See how long I can get through this program without accidentally having to read the M word out or accidentally cite it.
I take
And of
ownership.
course, there's a vague possibility that our viewers won't know what the M word is. I think that's the vaguest of possibilities, to be honest. But
Okay.
yeah, we know. It's the Mark verse, isn't it? No, I said I wasn't going to talk about it yet.
Yeah,
Okay, the
don't go
biggest news.
there. We own the
Yeah,
metaverse. We are the metaverse.
we
So
are the metaverse,
that's
yeah, but
right.
we are certainly not the Elon verse.
No.
No, that has got the elongated rants of a musky smelling fellow have been, have been in the news recently, especially as he actually bought the bloody platform where he does his ranting. And immediately sacked off the people. Well, you know what we're talking about. It's Elon Musk and it's Twitter. Nobody's happy. Surprisingly, there's a fairly massive exodus over to Mastodon, which, as you may well know, I use for my video embeds, which go to Twitter, and I probably go use it more now. Anyway, I got a picture on the screen, which is all very pretty and all that. Says it all really.
Yep.
The Emperor Musk, glorified in virtual stone, I suppose, statue, and with Twitter there, and sort of yeah, he's sacked about half the people there. He's threatening to charge everybody to use it. And what's the other thing? Oh, yes, to save a load of money, he's stopped funding the, what is it? The satellite relay system that he has, which means Ukraine has now lost a lot of its communication facilities because they relied on the satellites that Moscow was providing. And they haven't got them anymore. Well, they haven't got the facility anymore. So that wasn't very good news. I mean, this guy is turning into a seriously unpleasant person, isn't he? He's got that look about him there. Do you think there should be a little statue of, say, Putin next to him? Or maybe it should
Could
be a
be.
triumvirate. Maybe it should be a triumvirate with a resurgent Trump. But then again, actually, it really needs to be a foursome because we need the Emperor Zook in there, don't we? Oh,
So I've one question for you, Mal.
yeah.
Are you expecting that you're going to get a blue check on your Twitter feed?
I haven't really quite understand it. I'm not going to pay him £8 a month or whatever it is to
Great.
have a check on my Twitter feed.
Hmm.
But apparently, everybody's nervous that if they say a word wrong, they will be kicked off Twitter, which is really funny given that his promotion for buying Twitter was the fact he's a free speech advocate. Or except when you say bad things about him, apparently.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah, so there you go. One other little picture to go with that. I actually really rather like this one. Um, it is like Trump if you look carefully. I doubt if he's that muscular. You never know. But the idea of the Samson and Goliath, when Twitter's the Goliath and he's the Samson, or is that the? I think that's the story anyway. I'm not very hot on that mythology stuff. Okay, but it's a great picture. I thought this muscular man struggling to tame a giant bird, which is Twitter.
A giant blue bird. Right.
Yeah, great illustration there. So while we're on our picture thing, some news about Meta. Yes, without the V bit on the end. They have banned children under 12 from using, well, specifically Rec Room on Quest. But it's not actually that simple. This is just a headline from in Hamilton at Upload VR, in fact. It's actually not that simple. Basically, you can't sell or use anything on the Quest headset that is could be seen by under 12s. Apparently, it's very basically Zuckerberg does not want kids using the Quest. And Rec Room is one of the milder ones, if you see what I mean. So I don't even quite know the logic in that, but I thought I'd better grab that clip just to make sure you all realise that this is apparently his thing now. What else have I got here? Okay, just up and coming stuff here. 28th, 29th November. Enter the Metaverse. That's being held in London here. It's slightly different from Game Beats Enter the Metaverse season, which is a slightly different thing. Talking about emerging technologies and endless possibilities, step into a new digital world. And well, I have more about the time in a week or so. I'll have to dig out. I forget. I do actually know, but I forget offhand where that's being held. It's somewhere in central London. I think it might be just towards Shoreditch or somewhere, but I can't be sure. Right, another one. Oh yeah, well, what's new? What's new? Every week that goes by, a bigger star of some sort. Well, this guy's just old. He has to do anything to keep in the spotlight, doesn't he? Yeah, Elton John is presenting Beyond the Yellow Brick Road concert and fashion experience inspired by Elton, oddly enough, and it's on Roblox. So he's chosen Roblox to go in. It's probably not the worst one. He could have chosen Decentraland or even Somnium Space. Roblox, at least, does have some people in it, so he will have somebody to entertain.
Roblox has a lot of people in it.
Yeah, I'm being cynical.
Oh, okay, right.
So he may have actually chosen one of the better venues to actually hold it in. Sort of a lot of these new virtual worlds claim to have a lot of people, but the research has been done, and the billions of pounds being thrown at them, and then only a few avatars actually in there at any given time. Anyway, that's Sir Elton for you, or it doesn't say Sir there. I guess it's American. They don't have to. We are obliged by law to say Sir Elton John, as opposed to Elton John. But whoever did that poster obviously wasn't paying attention. Right, okay, coming up next year, of course, March the 16th to 17th, there's going to be the Web3 Summit of Virtuality Web3 Summit, and that's going to be in France. So it's a hop over the channel from here, just so you know. Also, in January the 18th next year, we have the female disruptors. I like being disrupted by females, but I shouldn't say that. Right. The future is female, says one T-shirt there. Yes. I'm not actually sure. I'm trying to figure out if I recognise any of the. Well, there's only two, no, three RL pictures in that montage. Anyway, that's in January the 18th, and it's second annual virtual summit. I think this may be all virtual. I don't think it's tied to an actual real world location, but I may be wrong. And there's a little star up there for, I guess, I don't know where you go to register, but you can get immediate access to 45 plus sessions from this year's event, 2022. So, yeah, that's that. And finally, a pretty picture. Your metaverse needs you. Oh dear. Guess what? I did the dirty. I mentioned the word.
Oh,
Oh,
you did.
how embarrassing. It reminds me of those old posters with Lord Kitchener and things on your country needs you, in wartime. Well,
Hmm.
there, it just probably edges off a bit there. Your first needs you. There we go. So I goofed. I goofed. But I did warn you that I would never get round. Okay, that's the picture department. Let's take a break and go to some of the web links. From the beginning of the week, of course, Scar Ghost. We have a sound effect somewhere. He's the ghost of the metaverse, he himself says. SKARREDGHOST.com. And the beginning of the week, he always does this. He's got the XR week peak. It's sometimes on Tuesdays now. I guess it's slowing a bit and getting it going. But basically, it's a roundup of not the news from this last week that we've had, but the week before that. But it's a good thing to check out every Monday or Tuesday to, just get a quick rundown of what's going on. The Quest Pro thing and the Quest 3 is announced. Sort of, well, not everything is Quest, but they sure make a lot of noise about themselves, don't they? And yeah, that guy's on the quest for making Quest adult only, as we just saw, I guess. Meta is sort of in financial trouble. Yes, we know that too. Yeah, we have posts on all this last week, I guess, but anyway, this is the roundup. I'm not going to hang around summarising it. We're limited on time, as ever. So, yes, I shall dispose of that one. And we'll move down to this bit of earlier in the week, moving up to date this week. This is Charlie Fink's new column at Spatial Beats, talking about Meta being down and XR funding up. Meta down means they've got a 50% profit loss, and it has investors on the run, quite frankly, not upset. They're actually running away. And but XR funding in general, extended reality funding, that means over the whole genre, as it were, that's actually up. So a summary there. Most of it is the business side of things. People raising funds and stuff like that, and continuing the endless quest for a metaverse somewhere. Right, I've got something beeping at me that I should try and avoid it. Hang on a second. What's beeping? Something's beeping. Oh, right. Sorry, folks. I have to attend a beeping thing. Don't worry, I don't actually have to answer it. I just have to put it away.
Mm.
it's it's an alert that will keep beeping until I attend to it. Right.
Hmm.
Okay. So, sorry about that slight interruption. Right, back to the web pages. This is Decrypt Co. DECRYPT.co. And this is going to be a bit confusing because we have the Open Metaverse Initiative and we have Open Metaverse thing that Lamina are spearheading. And well, a lot of it. Now, this is another one called the Open Metaverse Alliance, saying, rightly, I think, that it won't let Meta define the future of the internet, etc., etc. Dapper Labs in the sandbox amongst its ranks. OMA 3 opens up membership amid a push for an interoperable 3D web world. And yeah, we've got it here. Whether a future metaverse will be open and interoperable and whether it will be primarily built with blockchain technology remains to be seen. That's why an array of crypto builders and firms have formed the Open Metaverse Alliance to provide Web3 creators in a united front. Um, so, first revealed in July, it opened shop today, which was a couple of days ago, and it was announced at the Web Summit in Lisbon. Now, okay, to read more about this, you just want to go to Decrypt. So the crypt and as in crypto, many of these sites are these days. DECRYPT.co. But before I go any further, I'm going to go back to the video screen. And yeah, this is about 2.5 minutes. It's a video from very hard to get. I hasten to add, but I did manage to get it in the end. From it's a regular site called Acceleration Economy. More on the tech side as a rule, but this particular one it does actually talk about that very thing, OMA's launch.
Hello and a warm welcome back. My name is Kieran Allen and I'm the host of Acceleration Economy's Metaverse channel. Today I want to talk to you about the Open Metaverse Alliance. It's officially launched and it's opened up its membership to Web3 builders and creators. Ultimately, what the aim of the Alliance is to create an open metaverse built on blockchain technology, and this is the key thing here, interoperable. They're targeting their efforts primarily around the NFT space, and it's not surprising many of their members, such as Dapper Labs Board, Ape Yacht Club, etc., have a big foothold in the NFT space. But they want to be able to create an interoperable environment where the standards are set that enable users to move avatars and NFTs from space to space fluidly. Now, we've already talked in the past about the Metaverse Standards Forum. This was launched back in June. However, where this differs is its targeting. It's extremely targeted. Whereas the Metaverse Standards Forum, to be honest, their aims were big, and the people on board, for example, Adobe, Meta, Microsoft, they had some huge names on board, and they're still evolving what their practice is, and the aim of that was to create a degree of interoperability. However, where this is different is that it's extremely targeted. And within the metaverse space, as we've seen, you can't go it alone, and you can't work, as Meta have seen very recently, you can't work on your own to develop your metaverse space without bringing in other people. Now, as I said, the Metaverse Standards Forum did claim to create this degree of interoperability, but it was different. Okay, it was a big bang approach. It wasn't working on existing mechanisms. It wasn't focusing on the actual use cases of the metaverse right now. And this is where this is different. The Open Metaverse Alliance, as I've said, wants to focus on NFTs, wants to focus on blockchain technology. These are the components of the metaverse that are already working. They're the components of the metaverse that are already extremely successful. So in my opinion, creating an interoperability standard around working use cases is the only way forward. And that's why I believe that this is going to be a really, really important initiative to look out for, because they're taking the steps that anyone that's involved in the metaverse, anyone that wants to contribute to the metaverse should do, taking a targeted approach, looking at what's working, focusing on what's working, and then finding ways to do it better. Until next time, stay tuned and stay curious.
Well, a bit of background noise leakage on that one, but I'm sure you could probably hear the balance was such that I'm sure you actually were able to listen
Yeah,
to
kind
that.
of. It was pretty boomy, but yeah.
Yeah, well, never mind. Okay, a couple of other promos while I'm here. This is the orb system.
people that have shown up here are the right people. They're the experts in the industry. It was a great opportunity for us all to get together and collaborate.
The speakers, one after the other, has been very enlightening.
Interesting topics. I feel like I get to know what's newest technologies are on the market.
Fantastic to finally be able to come together in person and not do the keynotes virtually. Immersive Global Summit really allows you to network with professionals who are decision makers, people who you would not otherwise gain access to, and it does it in a way that's very communal. I'm really excited that I was able to network with decision makers at Lenovo, Magic Leap, and Meta Platforms. These are key players in the space.
Right. I don't think I've ever been surrounded by so many industry experts in one place. I felt like the energy was incredible, and the ways that we were all able to help each other bridge what we're doing into making something truly innovative. I've never felt that before. So excited for what we all came out with from this experience, and hopefully we'll see it again in Miami when we all gather again.
So that, of course, is a promo for the picture I showed you a short while ago, 29th of November here in London. It also still doesn't tell you on the video where it is. But, of course, if you look up Tech Circus, especially on Google, whatever, you will find out they're the people behind it. Right, some tech leaders discussing the metaverse's future here. This is about 4.5 minutes, but I think it's worth us getting in before we move back to some of our highlights.
I want to ask you to finish this sentence. The metaverse is
Living inside a computer.
I'm not a metaverse skeptic. I think I'm more of a metaverse hater.
Okay, fair.
I do believe that the metaverse will lead to a new technology paradigm. Ultimately, all digital activities and some real ones will move into the virtual worlds and the metaverse. To give you some examples of why I believe games are the proto-metaverse, here's some things I brought along. So this is Call of Duty Modern Warfare. It's a game that'll come out in a couple days. And this shows you they've built a digital twin of Amsterdam.
Isn't the metaverse, for gamers, they're the ones who kind of are naturally attracted to this idea of interacting online, of having, a different character. Isn't that what?
Actually, I don't think it is.
It's 19 hours.
Video games already work well. Video games are great closed systems of value. If you enjoy Call of Duty or World of Warcraft, they're going to keep on being fun for years to come. The metaverse is the idea, at least in my view, that you can start connecting these experiences together. That's a lot less interesting to games companies than it is to, say, sports leagues or fashion brands.
Metaverse is, in your definition?
Today I'd say, I'm going to get in trouble when I say this, it's a poorly built video game. Like, if I think about video games for years, we've been putting people together in 3D spaces to go and save the world from invading aliens or conquer the castle, building a metaverse that looks like a meeting room. I just find it's not where I want to spend most of my time.
You built and sold Oculus to Facebook.
That's right. I started Oculus, I was 19 years old.
Big fan of the metaverse. You're a big fan of the metaverse. What is Mark Zuckerberg doing? Give me your opinion of what Mark Zuckerberg is doing with Horizon Worlds in the metaverse. Is it a good product?
Mark Zuckerberg is the #1 virtual reality fan in the entire world.
Can you increase the volume, Mel?
Into it than anyone has ever done in history.
Is that money buying us anything worthwhile?
Have you ever had a project car?
Project car.
Project car.
Building.
You're wrenching on the car. You're putting in a turbo.
I've got a 3-year-old. I'm working on like Rio, train tracks.
So this is the analogy that I would use. Project cars, they often cost more than you think. And you're building something where to you, it's what you envision. And is that worth as much to everybody else as it is to you? Probably not. Are you probably going to spend a lot more money building it than, someone who's really, really doing exactly the right thing to do? Yes. So like people say, is Horizon Worlds a good product?
I don't think it's a good product. Like it's not fun. It's not good. I think actually most of the people probably on the team would agree that it is not currently a good product. But it's like a project car.
Look, it's kind of pointless ever like betting against the broad technology. Like obviously at some point someone's going to make something that's going to succeed, and you can always be able to tie it back to the metaverse. And so long term, I'm always very bullish on every technology. I think the Facebook vision of the metaverse it's so stupid it makes me sad. It accomplishes nothing. The reason it's hard to define is because it's that stupid. This should be like a red flag.
What we think is so interesting is that there's such a clear fork in the road at this moment where you have a group of people who's talking a lot about the future of computing in terms of virtual reality, which, as I mentioned, is a lot like, this vision of living inside a computer. And then there's this whole other group, like us, that are really focused on augmented reality, which is really about harnessing the power of computing while getting it out of the way, right? And I think we just talked to so many people that feel like computing or even their phones get in the way of enjoying the world around them, and that they want to immerse themselves more in the world around them. They really enjoy reality, and they feel like computing puts a lot of friction in the way of that. And so the promise of augmented reality is to give you all those benefits of computing without a lot of that friction.
We've talked at this conference quite a bit. It won't surprise you about the metaverse. That's not a term you like very much, right? So.
Yeah, we tend not to use that word because for us, that's a big, broad term. But for us, it's next generation storytelling.
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Evan Spiegel, though. You have to finish the sentence, both of you. The metaverse is
a word I'll never use.
Classic
Greg,
quote.
the metaverse is?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Well, we know what Apple thinks there, don't we?
Mel, did you hear me ask if you could turn it up?
Oh.
It was very quiet. It was very hard to hear.
How very strange. That must be okay.
That's just FYI. Yeah.
I put it down actually. I actually lowered it earlier because it was something.
It was so loud. Right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm actually back to the regular clips. Before I do anything else, actually, I've got two other clips here, which I will only run later if there's time. One is about VR modulated psychedelic psychotherapy with something called Enosis Therapeutics, and the other one is a sort of a really interesting piece. It's a look at Quest 2 and versus the Valve Index hand tracking, but they're looking at it from a very particular thing, and that is for doing sign language in VR chat. And they're looking at the technical ability of Quest versus Valve to actually do that particular job. That's really quite interesting. Also to see them using VR chat for that very purpose. Anyway, I will come back to that if we have time, or another day maybe. This thing about the Open Metaverse Alliance, as I said, was at decrypt.co. So we'll remove that, head on down, head on down, as the song goes, I suppose. Oops, that's not what I went to do. There we are. Right. Floreo, Floreo, is a VR platform for people with autism. Again, we're back on the, well, I suppose you could call it medical, certainly health thing here. This is just a VR platform, amongst the many that we see launching these days. But again, it's being launched with a specific purpose. It makes no claim to be part of an M word or an M space or whatever else that might be. It is simply a VR platform, which is devoted to using it for people with autism. They are they're focusing on getting funding for FDA approval. FDA is the American Federal Department of something, probably. I don't know, health, basically. James,
it's the Food and Drug Administration.
Oh, right. So fair. Of course it is. Right, it's not the Federal Department of anything, except the Federal Department of anything is also Food and Drug Administration. Oh, how long can we be? Right, okay. Forgive me, I'm English. Anyway, not much to say about this, but interesting to actually read, especially if you're interested in that field and maybe show an interest in this Florio platform. The post I've got here is a site called VATOR dot TV, so it's Vator dot TV. Moving down the list. We come to another post from the Scar Ghost, oddly enough, SKARREDGHOST.com, and cue the music. Yes, indeed. Tony Pitilla, sorry, was at the All Conference in Europe, of course, in 22, and he actually saw a demo and investigated further about something called sync reality. I'm sure we showed a clip of this a couple of weeks ago, actually, where they, sort of merged a real world location with a virtual location. It's sort of augmented reality, but it's sort of virtual reality too. It's a sync reality. It's an odd sort of thing, I suppose, that hangs out in the middle of all these things we got terminologies for. But I think it's best explained by that picture, actually, because the idea is, you can tell they're in a real space, but the augmented reality is so well augmented that it actually begins to feel and look like virtual reality. Interesting sort of transition from real to augmented to virtual, I suppose. Anyway, this is as Carl Ghost, Tony Vitilo's actual review of the product, and also he talks to them about their vision and the tool set and the SDK they've got. And anybody who knows the Scar Ghost and his blogs, the week in review, the peak in review at the beginning of the week is usually his shortest blog ever, because his other blogs are somewhat epic, as you can probably tell from my scrolling into On the Road to Nowhere, or as it were, scrolling into infinity. Anyway, a good little write-up there, of course, from him. And xrtoday.com, xrtoday.com, has a list of essential XR events for discovering new innovations in what's left of 2022 and indeed next year in 2023. Starting November 3rd, which was a couple of days ago, is the date of the post. They got VR Days in Europe, the Immerse Global Summit, which we had a trailer for. That's actually in Miami in December. Well, a few here I haven't covered anywhere else, but it's Lava Virtual, of course, there in Europe, in France in April. A whole load. There's obviously more than the ones they list there, but they've found a nice little selection there. So if you fancy going to an RL event for XR, or an XR event in RL, how do you put this? That's one to look up, xrtoday.com for that piece. A reminder that if you follow me on Twitter, the twitter.com/malburns, for as long as it lasts. I don't know how long it takes me to upset Musk, but when you click on the links there, they will take you to the exact articles I'm showing you on screen. The links that I'm reading out to you here will frequently only take you to the homepage of the site in question. For example, xrtoday.com takes you to their homepage, but usually, because these are recent, you shouldn't have any difficulty finding them, but better safe than sorry, go to my Twitter feed. Plug. Yes, that was a plug, that was. Oh, that was the plug that was. That sounds like an old TV program. Right, XR Association announces the launch of XR for All Foundation. Yep, loads of stuff. This is at xra.org, and the XRA is the XR Association. This is really just a press release. Well, it's not just a press release. It's got a whole load of stuff in it here. Telling you who's behind it, the XRA presidents, the chair from Unity, somebody from the Actu Centre, somebody from something called Meta. Sounds like Chinese. And Microsoft, that's another. They used to be. They're a good old company, aren't they? Thought they disappeared years ago. Obviously still going. you can read all about this at xra.org. I'm not going to spend a lot of time repeating all this stuff. If you're interested, you can simply go and read more about it. Right, on to the summaries. Charlie Fink, we're getting more up to date here. For some reason, there we are. This week in XR, this is the Forbes edition of Charlie Fink's thing, as opposed to the one that's earlier in the week. COD's 800 million weekend, whatever that is. Leia raises debt. Google buys face emoji or face emoji. Don't know what all that is. Anyway, reality construction kit. Okay, I passed on. I missed this myself. If you've got an iPhone or iPad 12 with a LiDAR camera, prepare to have your mind blown by the free Reality Construction Kit app. And there it is at the App Store and free. Oh, with in-app purchases, of course. Right, I had to have a peek at that while I was here. Sounds interesting. Well, very pretty graphic, but how the hell am I meant to watch something on a monitor like that? Might be 3D, but it's not comfortable 3D in my opinion. Can you imagine a picture wrapping around something like that? I don't know. Maybe it's just something a demo of some sort. So that's Leia 3D jumping off your screen. More of those. Face emoji, yeah. It's now renamed Alter, ALTER. And it's been bought by Google, acquired by Google. There's quite a little bit here actually. Talk about the future of HoloLens. Right, Calcom's devices. Right, I think that might be in Britain. I think I saw a TV clip on that in the week. There's a nationwide arts thing been going on. There's about 15 installations around the country, and I think that might be it. Or it may just the transformer may just look like one I saw him somewhere in the north of England. China aiming to ship devices. XO Association's month. Oh dear. And yeah, anyway, various things there. Moving on. This is a site called Product Hunt. I mean, they have loads of new things every day, and I just always get just test feed from them, you know, for little app widgets and things for the Mac especially. This, interestingly, is simply a launch really for the Croquet people's Microverse World Builder, and it looks very interesting. Croquet is a development environment for the open metaverse that lets Web and Web 3 developers rapidly create multi-user 3D worlds. And I'm going to quickly jump off to their website here. And indeed, I need to actually change. No, sorry. Okay, that's not where I thought it was. There is actually a post about them, which is actually heavily illustrated with some of the stuff that's been built in their platform, and I thought that was the one we were about to get to, but it isn't. But anyway, you can look this up at producthunt.com, and if you want to visit them, it's Croquet.io, so CROQUET.io. And then you can obviously download the kit or whatever else, find out more about it by going there. Quite a lot of comments here too about it, so it seems to have attracted the open source community for the metaverse, so to speak. Right, okay. Moderator Virtual Town Hall. This is a post at Medium by a man who should know about these things. It's Philip Rosedale. November 4th, which would have been Friday, I guess he posted this. Talking about using group memberships to regulate the behaviour of attendances at virtual town halls. Obviously, Linden Labs and Second Life, his old company, well, he's still sort of, well, he's a consultant now, used to have many things called the town hall, you know, the Linden Town Hall for their users. Um, but virtual town halls have sort of hung around, you know, in various forms. And basically, Philip is sort of giving some pointers here as to if you're going to hold an event like that, kind of a town hall conference or something, in a virtual world, then these are some tips that he's sort of put together for helping you do that. Maybe I should send this to the OSCC people, come to think of it, but no, they've got plenty of experience of their own. Right, so this is at medium.com, medium.com. Now, that will be a homepage with masses of things in it. It's a very popular platform, so I would suggest that if you want to read this article, you grab it from my Twitter feed. Although I'm sure you'll find it eventually if you hunt hard enough at Medium. Moving on, another piece about the Open Metaverse Alliance, OMA 3 launching. This actually is in a site which is called news.bitcoin.com. You see what I was saying earlier about some of these sites with some interesting reports, you know, coming from basically the old cryptocurrency side of things. Even though, in many ways, they report on things that actually have nothing to do with crypto. They're really just virtual platforms. Anyway, this is more about OMA's launch and wanting to address the isolated world platform. I thought that chap who was speaking and comparing stuff on the short video earlier on pretty much said it all. But you can get a nice roundup of what they're doing here from news.bitcoin.com. And let me see. Okay, designboom.com. This is DESIGNBOOM and .com, of course. And this is a conversation with somebody called Pico Valesquez, who's an architect, basically, but talking about architecting the metaverse. And you know, this is a very neutral sort of thing. It could have, you know, we've had architectures in OpenSim and Second Life for a long while. Some people go in there to prototype real world things. Other people go in to experiment with designs that will be purely pavilion spaces for a future metaverse, you know, for, you know, optimizing places for meetings without having a physical presence. So you get the double approach there. And I remember going to a conference here from the Architects Society, I think it was, which again Philip Rosedale attended quite a long while ago. So it's been quite a big thing. But this actually is a very interesting sort of interview with somebody who's actually doing deliberate architecture in the metaverse. And you know, it's arts, but it's also very practical too. You know, that might be a lovely piece of art, but it's also a very nice piece of design of architecture. And there she is. And thereafter, a very long interview, as you can probably tell. Shame it's not an audio interview, but never mind. If it ain't, it ain't. But anyway, I think that's a really interesting interview. If you're at all interested in design from sort of building and architecture, the built environment in virtual worlds, there's a bit of a must read really there. So DESIGNBOOM.com, designboom.com. Right, and oh gosh, wonders, that was the last of the actual web links. And this one, when it comes up, Mastodon.social. This is my Mastodon feed where I keep all my videos and things, and they get reposted to Twitter anyway. So if you follow me on Twitter, you will see all these. It's loading a bit slow here, and actually for the last few days, I think what's happened is that, as I mentioned at the top of the show, the problems with people wanting to leave Twitter and find somewhere else to be, then the Fediverse as it's called, the federated servers that Mastodon is part of, seem to be the thing that everybody's going to. And I think they're suddenly having a problem scaling. I remember in the early days of Twitter, you know, a few weeks were like this. They reached a point where so many people were signing up that they obviously had to bring on more servers and up the ante. And I have a feeling Mastodon Social maybe suffering, because when I've been posting these during the week, my little button that sends the post, instead of doing it in the blink of an eyelid, has been giving me a wheelie for about 3 minutes while it decides whether it's capable of doing it or not. Such is life on the interwebs these days. Probably a default of Mr. Muskie. Right. Don't know why this didn't come up as an embed, but the latest edition of Between Realities is with a CEO of something called Raymond VR. For some reason, it didn't come up as an embed, but there it is. And the same here, F Reality is suddenly become Reality Podcast, which is a bit wrong. But this one again came out, I think it was yesterday, this one came out. They're looking at the Quest Pro and looking at Rec Room banning kids, and also PlayStation VR 2 pre-orders and stuff like that. Focus more on games than virtual worlds, but the two collide here and there. That link will take you to the clip I showed you of acceleration economy. It was, or rather, the article that had it in it. It was I had to screen capture the one I showed you, but I couldn't actually get it directly. So, if you thought that was a good little piece, you can get it there. It wouldn't embed again. You can see I tried to. Right, an interesting one here. This is at Vimeo. Again, it hasn't embedded, but you can easily get to it. Why token-based virtual economy is an advantage? And this, interestingly, was an interview with Brad Oberwager, who is less known than somebody like Philip Rosedale, but he's actually the CEO and chairman of the company that owns Linden Labs these days. He's around with Second Life and stuff, but he actually runs the whole lab. And this conversation was probably more about Tilia, which is their other company, but it does talk about Second Life and stuff a bit. This one is an excellent piece. I've got this downloaded, but it's not one I have time to show. It's about half an hour. It's just a nice long documentary by one person looking at the short, long history of the metaverse. He starts with a few ancient sort of stuff, and then really picks up in the I suppose the 1980s, and then runs it up to date. Very short and concise, very easily listenable, and only about 30 minutes. In fact, I can tell you. Oh no, not. It's actually an hour, 54 minutes. I'm not sure who Roderick Kennedy is, founder, simulator, and creator of Teleport VR, but it's a good piece.
The famous picture of the School of Athens.
Right, that's when he's on the early stuff.
Essentially inventing in.
Right. He moves up to the invention of the web and cyberspace when it gives.
This is only a year, remember.
And then he moves right on up to date.
But HTTP and the idea of a REST protocol.
Right. Oh, he's got VRML. He's got everything in there somewhere, actually. So
combination of HTML.
You can go to my Mastodon account, which is mastodon.social/ and then @ and it's not my name, it's Metaworld, so it's just the brand there. So mastodon.social/ @Metaworld, and you can see all these. But they're also two versions of it, by the way. They're also actually on my Twitter feed anyway. Another one that was earlier in the week, which was quite interesting. No big names here, but it was the launch of a metaverse browser, I suppose you could call it. It's open source, and it works on screens and in the Oculus type, helmets. The idea is it's a portal for that will allow you to, click like you would on a tab to get to various, virtual environments. They obviously have in WebXR, they have to have something sort of in common here. And from what I could see, for example, you couldn't load Second Life or Sciencebase or even Sansar here. Maybe Sansar, actually, now I think about it. But there will be a strict Sciencebase maybe too, using their web version. There will be a limit here, but basically it's a customized browser. and it's been developed. Well, it's been built from scratch, but it's been based on a lot of the code from Mozilla's Web3D browser. So that basically is a whole conversation. People talking about it there. Right, not very helpful. Yes. Oh, that wasn't helpful, was it? Right. Oh, and that is something else completely. Right, we don't want that now. Okay, so that was. Oh, hang on again. Let me go back to Mastodon. Here we are. Sorry. I forgot. For some reason, I couldn't find a Charlie Fink and video version this weekend. I did before this show. I went to check that there hadn't been one. See, this is just getting slower and slower and slower. Come on, Mastodon. You're better than this. Okay, Mastodon Solid Social / at Metaworld, and they're all on my Twitter feed anyway. There is, of course, an edition of Upload VR there, which I know James saw because I watched it, and I saw James chatting in the audience too.
Ha, that's right.
Forget what you said, but you made some comments about something.
You know, I keep wanting them to talk about Microsoft, and you know, because Microsoft has announced a couple of partnerships and things that can work in VR, and they just haven't talked about it there. And they're, you know, it's pretty much Meta is really leading so much of what they're following. So it's kind of the meta show. Although they talked a lot about. I think probably the biggest thing I noticed at the end was they spent time talking about is Meta failing or not, and they just again went into examples about how building something like this is not a short-term success. This is a long-term endeavor, and they still think, you know, whatever's happening politically, Mr. Zuckerberg is in for the long term.
Yep. If he survives. I mean, his company. Well, never mind.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's sort of it for this show. I've got one more short clip where you'll go out on advertising, a plug for world hopping on a platform called Hyperfly, sorry. I know the guys at Omi use this for prototyping a load of stuff, so I guess it is sort of open source. I've got a few, as I said, I've got... actually, these, come to think of it, this is our friend Evo, and she's actually also on this panel with Tony Viscosi. This is the guy from Kronos, anyway. There's Evo again, and this is Will Burns, our friend Will Burns there. Don't know who that is, but we know all the others, so to speak. Again, this is 40 minutes long. It's I've got it here, but it's also in that Mastodon feed if you want to watch it. So I'm really Mastodon has stopped loading for me just now, as you probably gathered. The brutal downfall of Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse. That's a 14-minute job, and the world's deepest money pit, 10-minute job there. The short history I just mentioned, and this is 14 minutes about the hand tracking for sign language, a comparison between Quest and Valve, and VR modulated psychotherapy, which let me see, we're at no, we're pushing it a bit. I'll maybe show this another time. It's a sort of documentary. It's quite serious stuff. And yeah, okay, but the only other thing left up here that I can leave you with basically is Hyperfly. So in fact, we'll do this a bit unusually. What I'll do is I'll say goodbye from the show here, and stuff like that. Then I'll play this before James actually runs the end credits or whatever. So something to take us out other than me or we. Yes, okay, we will be back same time, same place next week. I hope you've enjoyed this week's news. I have been Mal Burns, hopefully will continue to be so, and my partner here has been James Atlloud. Welcome, James. Bye, James. Thank you, James.
Yeah, right. Okay.
get it right one day, won't we? I don't know. This stands our business is playing us. Okay, so thanks everybody for being here, and we will see you again next week. And before we get to our little outro, I will just play this Hyperfly 3 minutes, 3 minutes basically, of world hopping Hyperfly.